All right. The microphone works, it looks like. That's good. Welcome. Thank you for watching the VOD. This should be a shorter, and by shorter I mean probably a 2-hour VOD. What's going on there? Not sure what that hitch was about. Interesting. But yeah. Yeah, thanks for watching the VOD. Thanks again for all of the comments. It's always nice to read them. Try to stay on top of them. Try to answer what I can. If you're being snarky, sometimes I'm snarky back. Don't know what to say. Hey guys, welcome. Dadvik, Classic Cool, Sna, Gulo Gulo, Pity, Pipes. Classic Cool, what was going on with your audio? I've read something, you had posted something and then but I can't remember what it was. Happy Independence Eve to you as well, fellow Americans. What's up, Guy Love? Pitchy Apostates, Decent Milk, Kenji. Hopefully the green screen isn't like completely jacked. Hopefully the audios aren't completely jacked. Green screen may get weird here and there. I don't have the main light turned on. If I can go without it today, without the green screen freaking out too much, then I'll do that. If I need to turn the light on, I guess I'll do that as well. Hey, Travis. Please make it rain in Shallow Shoals in 50 RL minutes. Why? What is going on with that request? Some weird stuff going on with your mic. Classic Cool said. Audio's a pain. Once I got mine set up, I haven't touched it in years. Hey, Todd. So I'm just doing a quick check-in with you guys. I didn't want to not stream. I feel bad if I didn't stream this week. But on the flip side, I also didn't... Yeah, I almost didn't make it in. I've got... This is not a large packet of hard drugs. This is an ice pack that I'll probably be throwing under my back again in a minute. Looks like I will be restricted to doing upper body and abs for the next week or 2 weeks. My I was deadlifting earlier and it was just like kind of casual, everything's fine. And then I'm going down on another one. Pause. I don't even know how to say that in a non-weird way. The weight was heading towards the floor and then my back went ping. And I was just like, really? And it's not like my full back or anything. It was just like right there, right above my left hip bone. I was like, oh, well, that's stupid. Amnesiac, what's going on? Jaragor, Caranthia, Ucator. Yeah, patch day seems like it's gone smooth enough. Today, Ollie was saying patch day seems alright so far. It's not a herniated disc. I know exactly where the little muscle, it happens sometimes. And it's my fault for thinking, oh, everything's fine and not like paying enough attention. And honestly, I've been slacking on my abs. So poor core equals bad back. So I know what to work on for the next couple of weeks while I let this little pull heal. We are not young anymore, Antref. I'm feeling pretty good though, aside from that. So not too much complaining. Condolences on the World Cup loss. Did we lose? I don't know. The only way I even knew that it was that it was soccer. The soccer thing was going on was one, people here actually put flags out. Always nice to see flags. It's cool to see them. I guess they're going back in now, though. Is Germany still doing it? And then the other thing was seeing all the videos of people that went to the U.S. from Europe and were like, "Oh my God, the U.S. is awesome." I was like, "See, I told you." So those were the two highlights. Thanks, Granthia, for the feedback on the audio levels and stuff. Needing quest spawn and 72 minutes per attempt and needing it to be raining is brutal. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like that that's going to go in the game that's just meant to be, if you want to do it, right? But it's not critical path, so it's kind of on you. We'll see. We've been talking about all the various ways that we can use conditions and things to make it so that weird stuff spawns at different times and all of that. And then I'll be curious to see over the coming year how many people are like, they discover a thing and then it feels mandatory that, you know, like it needs to be 3 full moons all the time. So Puzzle Monkey said this happened to me too. Ice definitely helps, but it usually hurts for a week. Yeah. The last time I felt this ping was actually when I was in Stockholm. And I had a personal trainer there, and we were getting kind of wild on the rowing machine. And it just happened. So I was like, all right, well, that's that. Hey, Sandwichy, welcome. How's Muay Thai going? I have not done Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu in quite a while. Since my shoulder and hand surgery a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago at this point. I've just been lifting at home. We've got a nice gym in our spare bedroom, and so I've been doing that. Corinthia said, my husband does that while deadlifting once in a while. Look up the McGill Big 3 for core stability. I'll do that right now, actually. I mean, I've got my favorites, but don't even have to go past McGill. Cool. So we have one of those things. Well, that actually kind of, it's funny that I'm like, I just pulled my back. Oh, okay. That's not the big 3. I was like, because we definitely have one of those machines now. Not machines, but like the back extension duder. I think similar to this, but different. Can we get a Dwarf Beastmaster? You guys went all sorts of combinations. So I guess the question is, can we get an unlock for the Dwarven Beastmaster? Hey Keeps, what's going on, buddy? Idealistic Cynic, welcome. Peacemaster? That will be a new class. Master Blaster. That's when we add in the ability for gnomes to ride ogres. Keeps said, I finally got my beta key for M&M last week. Lotto was rough on me. Keeps, why didn't you just ask for a beta key? Of all the people that can just ask me for a beta key, you are high on the list. Waited my turn like everyone else. You are a gentleman. Been having fun with Inquisitor. Definitely my class of choice. I like the Inquisitor too. Inquisitor's a lot of fun. I wish I had more time. Question, did the spawn time for name mobs get pushed back substantially? I was in Ancient Crypt and it seemed like the name spawned once in the cook area, once in like 3 hours. Prior to this update or for this update? The answer is going to be no either way, but I'm curious if you just started noticing prior. I don't think so, no. You're saying it was the cook? I've heard no discussion of that zone or let alone the name did there. Chicken Nuggy 2424 said, hey robot, I'm pretty new. Is there a way to change my traits? I'm level 20 and thinking I took one that sucks, or will there be a way in the future, or am I just having to start all over? For now, it's just start all over. We're going to be redoing traits. There's a lot of stuff that we want to redo trait-wise. So, so to cook, let me look really quick. Because there's no way or no reason that should be the case. The big cook. Is that the ghastly cook? I think I found it. I found it via the placeholder. Nah. Not only has his spawn chance not changed, it's a bit higher than I thought it was. So I think it's just bad RNG. I just had to watch and make sure I didn't just accidentally click something. Does the spire you're at serve a purpose yet, besides farming ghouls? You will see. Well, oddly enough, there's a reason why it was on my mind. Sorry, I'm catching up. I'll work my way backwards real quick. Have you attempted the Rogue Starter quest with the new stealth changes? Oh, good point. No, there was a note about that. Is it nigh impossible, Sna? That came up, and that was on a to-do list that I think maybe did not get to did. All right. There's a couple people dying over there. Well, that's what testing's for. Rogue quest stealth plus other thingies you were thinking about. Changes. Cool. It's the hideout part, right? It's the assassinate. Well, no spoilers. It's the hideout part because we talked about that and then it just didn't get updated. I think what we'll wind up doing is just looking at the level of the guys that are up there. The one you're talking about stealing the bloodstone. I mean, oh yeah, yep. We talked about that as well. I think there's something we can do there. Pasha and Priest. Yeah. All right. He does not care about stealth. No. Okay. Good work, Sna. We'll get that fixed this weekend. I mean, it's not going to get patched after this weekend. It will be patched after this weekend, but not immediately. How about that? Hey, what's going on, Tech Writer? / Loki. Yeah, I was thinking that same thing. Basically, I'm just gonna make them patrol. I could probably do that in a minute or two. Actually, I would just need to hop out of here and into the editor. There's a few of them there now. Oh yeah, because so we're actually we're finally getting to the point where the garrison is being decked out as an actual combat space that you can go to depending on what faction you're on and where you're being sent and for what reason. So that big empty garrison will you should be seeing more NPCs in there now. And locked doors, yeah. So because the idea with the city is to eventually have it be more and more of a place where there's content stuffed in different nooks and crannies, right? And depending on who you're factioning up with, you may be sent to one place or another to kill some folks. Zorngob said, Robot All reworks look amazing so far. I can appreciate the amount of thought put into them. Any concerns with not being able to do all 18 by EA at this point? Some of these reworks seem pretty big. I imagine it'll require a lot of adjusting in the next 3 months before October 1st. Concern? Not really. But you know, is there pressure to get it done? Yeah. And will we, you know, are we 100% sure that we can get all of them done? Don't know yet. We'll be prioritizing sort of based off of difficulty, and ones that are just some smaller numbers of changes are being done, while others that require a bit more work are being looked at. And yeah, we just go. The cool thing that is happening with the class reworks is that you know, the teams got input on it, and if we get stuck on something or have questions or need a sanity check, we can go to the team for that. But then the guys doing the work are very much like able to do all of the work. So with Jahar, there's a lot of he brings a lot of capability for us to dig into the data. And I mean, I really wish there was a way that we could show you some of the tooling and data and how do I describe it? Because tooling doesn't do it justice, but just some of the different charts and graphs, and you can see where we're pulling information. We can see, we get a lot of good information from the playtest, the closed beta server data, right? So it's something where we're able to go in and pull a lot of historic data or look at the current state of different characters or groups of, you know, clusters of characters based off of class and level and what they're wearing and their DPS. And like, there's a lot going on back there that is cool. That's mostly something that we'll see coming from like Jahar and Runaf. And then with Zillith, it's great because his primary role and like origin on the team is as a gameplay programmer, but he's also doing class design work. And so then between the two of them, as there are needs, they're very quick to resolve like things that come up. So all of this is coming back to the kind of original theme of their ability to execute pretty quickly on changes. So it's, you know, discuss it, try to figure out as best as possible, implement it, check it out. All of that can happen like in a day sometimes. So not to say that everything goes super fast or that there's not work that's going to be done or that we're going to get everything done before EA. So anyway, saw some mention of new deities and racial restrictions on deities. Has any of the devotion system made it in for this patch? I thought we just put in the beginnings of it. So we can see I'm a novice. I'm a novice, a follower of Sorafal. Let's scale this window. And so this shows you, because as you progress through the ranks, it updates, you know, what your rank is here. A little bit of information regarding that rank. As boons are granted. What is shoot me a DM with the command? I guess I could just look here because it's relatively hidden. Cool. Oh, I was about to use one of your debug commands. Thanks, Encrypt. Well, I'm glad I didn't have anybody else targeted just then. All right, so I've dinged up there. And now I am a follower instead of a novice. So systems in, you're able to progress. There's this UI's in here. It's updated. Being able to forsake your faith or deity is not in yet, and there'll be more coming in with regards to boons that can be granted. You'll see. You may not see, but there will be items that will exist in the world that are locked to specific deities and faith rankings. And there will be potentially spells or abilities that you could find. Are there ways to increase devotion yet? If there are, it's just coincidental based on we had put some stuff in to play with before. Unless Encrypt has some stuff in that he was putting in to use it to test things. But we've got shrines in. We'll be getting together and going through like essentially how the shrines will work and how interacting with like different NPCs will work in terms of ways of increasing devotion. So you'll be interacting with shrines and similar things in the world and or NPCs. Let me put the ice behind my back again. Will increasing your rank also make you potentially more disliked by other religions by putting you on KOS or threatening type deal? Yeah. There will be faction implications. Will clerics and paladins start with higher devotion rank other than other higher devotion rank than other classes? There's been no plans for that to date. There's been some discussion of during EA expanding potentially. Let me say it this way: there's been some discussion of potentially having faith have more implications for at least clerics and paladins, but that's like a EA to 1.0 discussion, and that's based off of the idea of like as these these systems are in to give us a framework within to sort of continue to make the game deeper. We just got a capability added. Ali threw it in the other day. That's I don't know if it's in this data set. Let me zone the Night Harbor and see. I don't think it's in this data set, but we got a new capability in that's super simple. It's like a super simple thing that he added, but we've wanted it for a while, and now it's such a fun, powerful tool for us. You guys will laugh at like how simple it is, but the amount of stuff that it can do is really cool. Because it works with all of our systems. This game is already looking better than I thought it ever would, and will still look better. Hey, appreciate that. I mean, we're proud of it. Do you get to keep agnostic clerics and paladins? Yes. I will continue to argue that that is fine. They're not atheists. They're agnostic. They still believe in their abilities. They still believe in. They're still capable of channeling their faith in general. Their faith in their ability to affect change. So, I'm not a fan of cutting those, but a lot of that kind of that kind of silly stuff is my fault. I take the blame for that stuff. Feel like I missed something up here. Is there a deep dive roadmap? There isn't at the moment. I don't know how much the guys want to, because we're kind of like, sometimes it's, oh man, this felt right, and so we made progress on this one kind of thing. So I don't know how much we want to like commit to. Oh, I was heading the right way. To like a formal roadmap on the deep dives. Would love to see behind the scenes about class development and changes. That would be so cool. I really wish I could better highlight this work that they're doing. I know we don't make everybody happy when we do the class updates. You know, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that aren't happy. It's cool to see that some folks are. Dude, I made this so big, but I kind of need it this big. Whoever was saying that maybe we have like we ask your age on the way in and we scale the UI based on that. We've always talked about having different default UI settings and having like a couple of questions on the way in. Even something as simple as, do you prefer pre-2004 MMOs or post-2004 MMOs? Let me see if this works. It may not work. It may not be a thing yet. It may only be on dev. Nope. Okay, it's only on dev. PvP was hopping for a minute, but all my friends got into PvE and ghosted. Are you all by yourself now? John said agnostic clerics paladins should have reverse devotion where the god has to faction with the player to prove they exist. Mimi says boxes still aren't working. That is a travesty. Wait, those aren't it. Are they? They're not it. Those are just props. Or are they? No, there's no way those are just props. Are those Mimi's busted boxes? What's the story with Wormsbane armors being disabled? So, the Wormsbane armors are disabled until we can go through and make them something that is more level appropriate. So we're going to redo those as quests that you can do in this region. Ali, I avoid certain letters and words sometimes just because I don't want certain companies to think that we're like using common parlance that we all know to like market our game or anything like that. But the best way to describe it is we'd like to turn the Wormsbane armor quests into essentially like a soul row armor quest for the Zur region. So a mid to high tier or level armor quest that requires you to explore a little bit more of the region, and then that way we start to set the precedent of like regional armor quests. And then as the world gets bigger, some people on YouTube were asking questions about just quests in general. And so the hope is as the world gets bigger, so if you guys are gracious enough to stick with us, this time next year or whatever, then hopefully we'll have the capability to keep building the game, and then that will lead to quests where we can use more of the world. And so there'll be quests and more, we can go more epic with them, where it's like where where you're not just in this region, you're going from here all the way to East Hem or whatever, right? And so the hope is if we're able to just keep working towards 1.0, that by the time we hit 1.0, there'll be a lot more quest content than you would probably even be expecting from this game, right? So, but we need more of the world in place. We need more time. So for now, it's about getting the foundation in place, getting the basic base pop, spawns, rares, things like that. How close to seeing the deep? This month, July is very much all about us pushing to get you guys into the deep. So this month is us going hard and fast, and then hoping that you get some time in. You heard it here first. Epic quests are pay to unlock. Exclamation quests confirmed. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Hello, everybody on Reddit. Does that mean Wormsbane level range is changing? Or will we be getting mid in-game gear from the newbie dungeon? Or did I just misunderstand what you said? It's kind of working to do the opposite, where it pulls some of the people that have just been sitting there trying to farm some of the gear that maybe have outgrown it. Between this change and the changes to disenchantment, we're hoping that we can make it so that the dungeon tends to attract more level appropriate people, and the other content attracts people that are level appropriate. I could have said that in a way that was less stupid, I guess. So no, Pipes. The idea would be that the quest components, which aren't just the gems. Somebody was asking about that as well. I think Novaman XL. The components for it will be distributed more around the region. Yeah. Who is that? Someone waved at me. I waved back. Does that make sense? Even if it was stated in a very not great way. It's Friday. What can I say, man? It's Friday. Yeah, so we want to make the armor, because it's pretty memorable armor. We want to make the armor a bit. We'll look at. I think it can probably stand to be a bit better if it's higher level. We'll make it a bit higher level. You know, kind of like mid 30s or something like that. We'll send you around the region more, and they'll kind of feel like, you know, something for you to do when you're in that level range, and a reason to go hit different places in different zones. Amazing how much team is knocking out. Appreciate it. Oh, we have a new guy on the team, by the way. New designer who also has an art background, and he's been picking up my slack in the deep, actually. So he's been getting stuff into Caves of Aram, and man, he ramped up almost instantly, and it just is knocking stuff out. And it's cool because he's got a background as an artist and a designer, so then he's able to make art changes as he's working on the design stuff that we talk about. So that's pretty cool. Is his name Claude? No, his name is, I almost used his real name before, and I gotta keep looking at his, because I never use his GM name, and I'll have to ask him if I can just use his name, because I tend to just want to use his name. His GM name is Wagnite. 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 And he is he is somebody that came to us via Wagyu night. That is delicious. He is somebody that came to us via Akiris, who is my friend Steve, who joined the team a while back. A few months ago now, a couple months ago. And he's been working in Fallen Watch on like some crazy stuff. So we're gonna see we're gonna start testing Fallen Watch soon, and then we'll probably we'll see if it's too crazy. He's been going for it in there. So that's gonna be Fallen Watch will be without a doubt our most unique dungeon in terms of gameplay. There's a lot going on in there, but he really wanted to like make it memorable. And so let's see. And Wagnite came to us via Steve because they both worked together. They overlapped briefly at Blizzard. And yeah, that's where he comes from. So that's the story of Wagnite. I've been thinking, it's funny you asked the question about the Worm's Bane armor quest, because I was thinking about them a lot today. Like just thinking of like how to do them, right? Like updated female human animations are excellent, by the way. Compliments his chef. I believe that was all Derelict. Ollie has been doing some implementation on. So we deactivated the various raids and level locked encounters, and so one of the first things we've been doing some design discussion stuff, but then because Ollie's Ollie and can code changes and features as needed, he's been implementing the revamped. We started with bone construct. Ow. So we started using bone construct as a test case. And part of what we're doing there, I wonder if I can show it if I log out. And I don't think Ollie would mind. Ooh, if I camp, then you'll see my characters because they're on this account. What if I just kill my client? Cool. And I think I would need to. Has he checked it in? Yeah, he has, because I've run around there. That was a dumb question. I'm double checking permission. Well, I gotta say, having some type of quest like that at the early range was a cool chase goal at that range. Cubby, are you talking about the current level range for the armor quests, or the more level 35-ish? I'm assuming former, not the latter, but... Yeah, the current should be fine in 30s, but even if the reward is toned down, it's a nice thing to have there. Yeah, having quests is nice, and it's, you know, having quests at that lower level range is nice, and it can be, they could be set up in a way where there's a bit of a chase, but if the common tendency is to just out level it and then come back, and it's such a chase thing that out leveling it still, it's worthwhile to like come back and hit it. And then it's just there was a lot of feedback given on those quests over the years, and the feedback just didn't really make it in. So it's nice to have lower level gear quests. Getting a full set of unique armor in the newbie dungeon that a lot of people sort of make it past relatively quickly, and then having all that stuffed into one dungeon along with the drops and yada yada yada. It was like, okay, there's more of a world to try to move people around through. And I would say if we were to have the time to go back in and say, hey, let's get additional quests, let's, you know, get additional quests in for that, you know, 10 through like 17 level range or something like that, I would still think that it would make sense for it to it would still make sense to like send people to some other areas, so that it's not like everybody piles into Wormsbane and then there's just all of these things that you can get there and then there's no reason to leave. Right. So yeah, Wormsbane as a dungeon is awesome, and I think that doesn't change by removing the quests and distributing them out. Right. And maybe 35 is not the best level range. Maybe it should be more like 25. And so it's like right after you're kind of wrapped up there and starting to be pushed out in the world or whatever. Just quests are such a good opportunity to encourage people to go see more of the world, especially with the various mechanisms that we have now. So, you know, with the fact that we've got mud actions, environmental interaction, we've got more and more camps that have come online. The deep will be available as well. There's going to be there'll be 1 to 60 content in the deep as well, right? Any plans to increase drop rates, more variety on magic items that can be disenchanted, like Lightstones for Wisp? Jewel crafting seems a bit rough. We'll keep looking at jewel crafting and DEing. Well, I mean, we'll be looking at all trait skills, just like we're looking at classes and overall balance and stuff as we go. Hey, Ollie. Glad to hear it, Cubby. Had some guildmates use sense magic on some human NPC mobs to see if they had see and viz. They wipe because a mob seen them. Is NPC see and viz a racial and not a magic ability? It is. Oh, that's an interesting point. Ollie, that's an interesting point. It's a flag and it's not an ability that they're casting, Thulsa Doom. That's rad that you guys used sense magic on it. Ollie, how hard would it be to... Isn't that right? Like for some of those... Yeah, it's an interesting one. Ollie... Would Doggo's Beast have having C and Viz qualify as something you see? Nah, that wouldn't be it. Yeah, that would just be... Should you still be able to tell when you con it? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Gulo, that's right. Yeah. I got so excited about the idea that I didn't even consider the base current implementation. When will they be implemented, the Wormsbane armor quests? You want to hear something? Maybe you guys will think this is crappy or a bad idea to do it. But I was seriously thinking about this earlier today. I was thinking that they would be implemented and we wouldn't let you see them until early access kicks off. We're starting to do stuff like that. We're starting to like write stuff down that's like on a list of things lore-wise and drop-wise and quest changes and stuff like that that's like for later. So let me know in the comments below, but basically the idea was to start making it so that there is stuff that you guys just haven't seen, so so we start hiding. We because it's not that far off, so we just start not activating some of this stuff. You can get into zones and there'll be drops, there'll be the things that you're seeing, but then a lot of this other stuff is kind of like, yeah, we'll just, you know, maybe you get a little like a sample, but we're starting to make our list for EA. Yeah. So whoever it was, Gulu and Ollie, a good point. When you con the guys, you should have been able to see it without sense magic. Is that you, Ollie? So emo. So if you're familiar... So if you're familiar with the bone construct area, Ollie made a new one. So we could start to test this concept that we've talked about for... Honestly, if you go back to the original FAQ, it was on the original FAQ, and I don't necessarily know why we removed it, but we had always talked about the idea of controlled spaces, right? So, and Ollie's been working on some enhancements because right now there's it's like this, but so we're doing some prototyping in here. So essentially this is what it would look like. Let me move it so you can see it. Is it still in the FAQ? I thought it was gone, Loki. So, and this gate is dynamic, as you can see. Because it's down right now. Ollie, that's you, right? That's you in there? Did you wanna kick it off? So we're using this to prototype some new rules and that'll help us figure some things out for future encounters, how we design future encounter spaces. Not all of them, but some of them. So we have more options. And you can see I was not in Ollie's group. So the gate came up, and I am there outside. I can't interact with Ollie and his group. I got booted out because it wasn't my turn here. I got banished here to outside the room. And then Ollie has defeated. Well. So whoever hits it first gets it. That will not be, for this, that will not be the means of engagement. So we're starting it with one. So let me talk you through the process. We're starting it with just one group, but we're using that to discuss how we account for different group types, right? So where should we draw the line? Is it 2 groups? Is it 3 groups? Is it 5 groups? What are our different grouping constructs, right? And does it matter? Is it, but then it's anybody that's a part of that group or raid. If we just go sort of generic, anything past one group is multi-group / raid. And then we've got that accounted for. With this, we're starting, what we wanted to do with this is get a feel for how we start to define these spaces, how they feel, make them feel integrated into the world, right? So it doesn't feel, because that's not an instance. And just different considerations for making it feel like it's still part of the world, but it's still a space that you've got control over. Looking at the various means of accessing it, right? So in this case, it is an interaction that happens here. It's Ollie put it in as a mod action. Can you insult chat with people while they're in there? Yeah, like you're just outside. So, but what you can't do is you can't train them, you can't buff them, you can't heal them, you can't kill steal them. It's just they've engaged, it's there. So then the questions that we're working through are, now that we've got a better handle on the number of people, how do we want to, one sec. How do we want to approach some of these fights so that they're more challenging? And it could be a 1-group fight, it could be a 2-group fight, like I said. That's just a design decision then as we're working. What we're doing right now is working through the prototyping of just the functionality that we need. And working through bugs and stuff as we're kind of looking at like the states that zones get into. Oh, got triggered again. I'm booted. What is the purpose of this? The idea behind controlled spaces has always been, can we create an area within the environment where we have a better idea of who is in it for certain fights. That isn't us just defaulting to instancing, right? So if we wanted this to be a more challenging encounter, then what we know is that you're in there, that we know that you're in there with X number of people. We know that the mob's not getting pulled around. We know that the people that are in there aren't getting trained. We know that there's no out of group healing. There's no, you know what I mean? Like essentially it gives us all of the benefits of you being in a separate zone on your own without us fracturing the world and having it feel like we're just defaulting to going to instancing and stuff, because this is part of the zone. Then the question becomes like, all right, well, if only one group or one raid or whatever at a time can engage with a piece of content, the question then goes back to how is it triggered? And what are the rewards, right? And so those are the things that we can now start to balance for, because in theory we can have these be the triggers be something that happens once every 50 days or 3 days or 5 days or 15 minutes, right? So we can adjust the frequency that people get to engage with it. And some of the stuff that we've been talking about is just how we want to handle any limitations. Should there be limitations with regards to frequency of reuse? Is that more on the trigger side of things? Or is it on a lockout? Preference is not lockout, because the second you start doing lockouts, you've got to communicate that the person's locked out. Where is that communicated? Is it a state? Right? But then do those start to add up and you got a bunch of these lockouts in your states? Or then do we wind up with like a lockout sort of UI, and does that start to feel too gamey? So the preference is for stuff like this to, at the moment, right? But this is all just a discussion iteration. The preference is for it to be something where you're more limited by just your investment in getting the mechanisms to trigger it in the first place. So, and then you're less incentivized to do it nonstop forever, because there's limited rewards on it that once you get them, you're kind of like, okay, I've done it. I've had fun. I've gotten the rewards. So you guys are asking for lockouts. I would say you never know, but my main thing is just communicating a bunch of lockouts. Does that not feel too gamey to you guys? Does that not start to like bridge the gap from being more in an immersive world where you have autonomy, blah blah blah, to feeling more like I got to check my lockout list? Or that's a serious question, and feel free to comment on the video as well. It's not like we're making any changes that we can't, well, undo or whatever. It's not that we're making any changes on that front at all at the moment. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm trying to like avoid, like weekly quest, that weekly quest feel and stuff. Just not, yeah. Way less frustrating than a single group 24/7 camping a spawn and holding it down for weeks, which happens now. They would constantly need to feed in the trigger mechanisms as well. And that's not to say that it can't happen, but rather than go straight to lockouts, maybe we kind of see how it feels. Yeah, that's the thing. We just not a fan of like weeklies and dailies. Though some of the stuff that we do, because of the way that content is scheduled, I guess could feel like a daily or... We've talked about, instead of there being like a lockout, state that's up here or in a UI, you could also wind up with a debuff on you. But again, The idea isn't to have this be something where you can only do it once every 5 days or 7 days or whatever. It was more like, hey, if this thing's like available every 15 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, then, you know, if you did get like a debuff or something, it would only need to last for like 24 hours or something. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think we're heading the right direction with regards to not jumping the gun on certain mechanics. Wouldn't be bad if it was once per week, any day of the week, and not a 7-day timer. WoW Classic World Dragons had a cool debuff that went on you if they killed you, so you couldn't engage them for like another 15 minutes, giving the other groups a chance. And that's the thing, like even that amount of time, right? Like breaking it up. So it's a debuff that doesn't even have to be multiple days. It could be an hour. It could be, you know, 3 hours or whatever. Orang. Is that how you spell orangutan? I kept wanting to say orange. Orangutan said, I don't see lockouts as good. If people want to sit at a spawn for the day or week, they should be able to do so. Forcing people out of content they want to do some fun. That's kind of where, that's kind of the default feel. So it is not spelled correct. I did not think so, but tuned in late, so will that take the competition out of raid mobs on the PvP server? Well, this is just one type of several types of encounters that we're talking about. There's still going to be stuff that just spawns in the world that's there. That there are going to be other things that are in the world, not in something like this, that may be triggered, right? So there's like a list of different types of high-end in-game content that we will be playing with. You know what I mean? There'll be a certain amount of friction still. There'll be a certain amount of gatekeeping. We're not trying to, you know, we're not trying to change those aspects. We're just trying to give us more tools that allow us to vary the feel and give the overall in-game more texture. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? If someone can confirm that that makes sense, that will help me feel better about life. Brian X01234, you're welcome. I'm glad that you enjoy hearing the thoughts. I mean, they're just thoughts. I'm just one dude on the team kind of rambling. Can you make the named mobs only spawn if the room has been cleared recently as well? So yes, it's camp perhaps, but they have to do work to keep the camp, not just sit on the named. Again, the idea is that we'll be front loading a bit of that. So the places where you would be getting the trigger mechanisms would be individual camps, and they would require some work. Dirty Rice 7, thank you for the follow. Right on, but then the game becomes about farming the trigger mechanisms like Puzzleaxe was. That's all you have to let's see, you're responding to Ollie. That's all you have to do then. Instead of going on to experience other parts of the game, your bottleneck becomes the trigger parts and frustration begins there. But you're describing, there's going to be camping of stuff. There's going to be camping of some things, and there's going to be some stuff that just spawns. If you're frustrated with camping, then... and you're not frustrated with the sense that you've got to always be watching for this thing to spawn, then maybe you're able to focus on the latter instead of the former, right? But yeah, there's going to be some stuff that's just a world boss that spawns. We've got ideas on how to make that a little bit more interesting, or make it so that there are more benefits to more people than just the people that are like trying to rush there and lock it down. They're going to be controlled spaces like the one that we're in now. They're going to be triggered spawns in the world, which if it's triggered, then you've got to farm triggers, sure. And then some of it will be, there'll be zones that are just higher in that you've got to be more geared up for. And they will have their own rares and spawns, and some of those may be multi-group, right? So there's going to be variety there. Oompa, like you said, there's not going to be a perfect solution. Can you look into the item Monocle of Good Seeing? It's been broken since alpha. Monocle of Good Seeing. I'll write it down. It may be something that just got nerfed out of existence or something. Or if it's in and it's just broken, I have to see what that means. P. Dunaway says, what do you mean by more texture? More texture means just more variety, more options. Unfortunately, people will industrialize the game. Question from there is, will that be tenable for the rest of the player base? Well, the hope is to allow for things at the high end for people to do that they enjoy, while having that not completely alter the game for the rest of the world. And if anything, maybe have benefits for people in that area, right? So we've talked about things, rewards like when the dust dragon is down, it could be that because the dust dragon is down, there are fewer sandstorms in the region, and the fewer sandstorms in the region, and like prices improve in Night Harbor until he reappears again, right? Like some things like that. Could be that when a dragon is felled, one of the ideas that was really cool that you guys provided in a previous stream was maybe when certain dragons are killed, their heart stays there as a forge that people can use for X amount of time before like it's almost time for him to respawn, right? And so everybody can come there and use it, that type of thing. So Criddle said, Monocle was a C-invis clicky effect, but its duration is only 5 minutes. Its duration is only 5 minutes, but it has a recast of 1 hour. And is it not working at all? Any word on reworking the Night Harbor sewer dungeon? Assuming we're getting it back by EA. The problem with it so far has been its priority relative to other zones, because Night Harbor already has so much content around it. So it's not as, so far it hasn't been as high a priority, for example, as maybe getting another low-level dungeon in place near Aelvarith, the Deep Elf City. Right, so it's like, do we invest more time in the getting one more zone up and running in Night Harbor, or do we invest more time in content around AV? Hey, Pear. Just thinking of ways to get to the Deep Elf City. Oh, there's plenty of way to get there. Just dig down. Wouldn't that be funny if there was a well that you could jump in and you wind up plopping in the river down here? What's the plan for races who can't access Guild Hall Night Harbor, for example? Will there be faction neutral zones for guild halls? They're all... You should be able to sneak around and get to it if your guild's got a guild hall in Night Harbor, but you're KOS. But that's one of those things that your guild should probably consider as they're picking their location for the guild hall. Because maybe they're... This guy is not doing the right thing. Maybe they should get a guild hall down here instead. Deep Squats. I love your new name, Deep Squats. Whenever the deep is shown, I'm always torn between looking at it and hiding the stream to avoid spoilers. Lord, it looks amazing. Man, I definitely understand that. We're really excited to get you guys in here as soon as possible. Folks are in here working now, so you're starting to see more and more NPCs come online. And hey, what's going on, Penny? Penny asked, I want to clarify the recent statement about automation. Where do mouse macros fall under the new policy? For the time being, and I do believe this is going to be something that we have to continue to discuss, because we've discussed hardware automation a bit in the past, because we've tracked it and then we've talked to people and sorry, I got distracted. And then we've kind of revamped the policy and then looked at it again. So our goal is to make sure that we're not being too slack on people having an unfair advantage over others, and essentially slowly working towards sliding down the automation slope towards botting, essentially. Right? So at the moment, if you're macroing, if you're automating button presses in certain ways with your hardware, we will probably inquire as to what's going on. I'm trying to be a little bit vague. And this will be a thing where I'll say one thing and then we'll probably enforce it in slightly a different way or whatever. And then we'll have to talk more as people are like, whoa, why did Trent just talk to me? And then, you know, the CS guys are extremely good about posting in one of our CS channels about, hey, this just came up again, or where are we standing on, you know, where are we standing on X, or hey, this question came up and we haven't thought about it in that manner before. How do we want to continue to handle it? Penny, does that make sense? Synexa said, I think devs are spoiled with Godspeed constantly. They should try a good run with no sound to understand the pain. Listen, Synexa, we do all of the runs with and without. Oh my gosh, that was close. Dude, I'm on my gnome toes right now. With and without, and we time everything. I've got a little Excalibur drawings with timers all over them all the time. So we look at it there, and then And then, yeah, we do play on our play tunes and run around. And there's a lot of low-end play tunes, so... So we do feel the pain, but yeah, there definitely are times where we look at it and go, is that too much? We've been doing a bit of that in this thing is just twisted. Sketchy. We've been doing that a bit in the Great Cavern Sea, where we're like, this may be too big, or yeah. The toe grip strength of gnomes is underestimated. It is one of their traits. I did not hear back from Penny. So I think that is, hopefully that was a satisfactory answer. It'll be a new video. I used to love Eminem, but then they killed my bear. And banned me for pushing the middle mouse button. Did I actually take that damage? I did. Oh, I'm glad I had Immortal on still. We were testing some stuff. Let's see. I appreciate the straightforward answer. I actually gave up my bard because I can only play it using mouse macros and didn't want to risk violating the rules. Yeah. I'm going to make a note. There's definitely some stuff to continue to discuss there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. The reason why I lost all my health but didn't die is actually an important statement to be made. Oh, man, that's so pretty. Hold on. How cool is that? So if you're on closed beta right now, you are going to run into the first pass of mobs, and I'm trying to remember where the abilities start. I don't think you're not going to see them below like 10 or 15, I don't think. So if you've been farming like skeletons in the in like the undead highway over close to Fallen Pass, before you go in Fallen Pass, you probably won't see it. How about mouse wheel binds? That shouldn't be a problem. Like, having different binds set up is not a problem. You know, until I hear otherwise, like having something essentially trigger a button press at a, you know, essentially at a reasonable rate isn't it a problem. Having, basically, if you're able to take your hand off your keyboard and mouse and it's firing your abilities for you on a regular rhythm, then you're automating. If you're triggering macros while playing through certain key presses and things like that, that should be fine. But again, I wanna ask some questions to make sure that I'm providing as clear a language as possible on this front, so that I don't steer you guys in the wrong direction. But yeah. So, anyways, where I was heading was the where I was heading was the NPCs now have abilities where they're able to engage. Did the music go up a ton? Or the audio level still good? Yeah, so you'll see that mobs have ranged abilities now. You'll see some more stuns have gone in. You'll see that some of them may have snares, things like that. So for those of you that have been kind of like pulling in certain ways or kiting in certain ways, the idea is not to nerf you completely, but it is meant to help mobs be able to play it on a little bit more even playing field with you. Yeah, so they've got charges and things like that. And ranged attacks, bows, and I think slings, and some of them may throw a bola. Is it intentional for mobs to be able to charge while rooted? I don't believe that was intentional. That's already come up in our discussion earlier. Yep. Looks like charge and pounce are broken in that they don't go to the... Oh, wait. That's a separate bug. Yep. So Ali is aware of it. Players could also always charge while rooted. Ali, was that on your list already? Basically, players always have more options than NPCs. Yeah, but is that intended? Or was that a bug and then we just kind of like grandfathered it in? Well. How do you like having hair with a hat? ZBrush said. I don't know that that's true. I take my hat off and all my hair still disappeared. Oh, on my gnome. Yeah. On my gnome, it's great. I just was hoping you could make it happen in real life. Look how pretty that is. Turkey has people for that? I can't do that. I have so many questions about what happens long term. Do they give you the whole head? Or does more fall out and then you're like, oh, you gotta go get it, patched. What's the story with the lopped off pinky? I like how you guys basically revert to like 6-year-olds on that topic. You're like, hey. You're just pointing at the missing finger in the supermarket. Alligator did get it, yeah. Dog bit it. Bear fight. Add toupee to leatherworking. That might be or would that be like spinning, or you can get various animal hide toupees. Penny said, I saw the new dwarf and elf hairstyles, so where do I book my next barber appointment? We've got to get the barber in. We do. We need to get the barber in. I think stylist should just be like a trade skill. And then you can get like a stylist table. One of my ex-wives was a hairstylist, and I have a lot of respect for the craft. Mexican Cartel is a game of five-finger fillet. Oh, somebody on YouTube had wrote out a long comment that the more you read it, the more you kind of had concerns that he wasn't trolling. But there were some serious concerns about my involvement with the Japanese mafia, and that's why we're not taking any money for the game. And I will have you know that, first of all, my involvement with the Japanese mafia has nothing to do with the finger being missing. And they have not given us any money. It adds up. It adds up to 4 1/3. Fully funded by the Yakuza. Let's go. That would be something. So, in a situation in which we were fully funded by the Yakuza, would that justify us extending beta and not going into early access? Asking for a friend. If we suddenly had a bunch of money. Alright, slow down now. Okay, that's not. Still had open play tests. Oh, are the normal amount of beta invites going out today? Dirty Rice, that's a damn good question. I almost forgot about the lottery because I'm streaming at an odd hour so that I can wrap up and then it's a questionable name. He sounds like he sounds more like a rucksack thief than a seller of rucksacks. Close testing for 15 years and then suddenly releasing EA on Steam is meta right now. It's not the most successful meta, so I don't know that we want to copy it. Have we seen what Ultravision looks like now that Beast gets it? We're still discussing Infra and Ultravision's final form. You have not seen their final form. Do we need to add a tatami mat style to the rug in the merch? Yeah, the rug that we pull is a tatami mat. But yeah, I should probably run the lottery as soon as I wrap up the stream. I'll run the lottery as long as the CS guys are good to go. Do you think Ultravision should have light sensitivity? I have thoughts on visions. I have shared my thoughts on visions to the systems guys so far, but not everybody else. They may be unpopular thoughts with regards to vision. We'll see. Will Infra and Ultra be able to be turned on and off? That's part of the thoughts. What? That's some nice shelves we got going on there. Um, 20-year development, release on Steam. Remove the game from Steam after 2 weeks is the way to go. I'm kind of like, does this work yet? I don't think this works yet. Does it work? Is there a switch somewhere? There isn't. Okay. I'm excited for fairies. Can't wait to have fairies going across rivers. Yeah. So the way that I've kind of thought about it is, in the absolute worst case scenario, you guys only you only play for 1 month. Everybody quits in November. That would suck for the team for sure, but it is a situation where if that was the absolute worst case scenario, then I really enjoy playing the game. If what happens, like, because people are just like, some people comment like, dead game, no one's going to be playing it after 2 months. It's like, well, not nobody. I know we'll be playing it. We'll just have the server to ourselves, I guess. Ice pack. Oh. Ultravision lets you see the matrix like Neo. Ultravision should let you see heat signatures, right? How far is this zone from shipping? Are we close? We're focusing on deep zones in July to try to get you guys in. We really want to get you in by the end of July. Going into August with the deep available is high on my list of things that we hope to make happen. Excuse me. Penny said, I've shared my thoughts on Vision 2. Am I going to mispronounce this and seem foolish? Is it Rhodopsin? Your eyes really do adjust to the dark. As somebody who has spent a lot of time either out in the country or playing army, I definitely get it. So it has been part of the discussion. Eyes adjusting. Rahini TV said, Hey Sean, wie geht's? Endlich nicht mehr so heiß, oder? Ja, aber jetzt das Gefühl ist ein bisschen wie Herbst oder so. Es war kalt heute. It went from being a very cold kind of spring summer to everybody complaining about the heat, and we got 2 fans blowing on us, to it feels like fall again. So Criddle hates a lot of the class changes. He went off on his stream the other day. Everybody's allowed to have opinions, guys. We're not going to make everybody happy. The goal is to try to make as many people as possible make as many people happy as possible. How about let Criddle speak for himself? Exactly. He's in here, folks. He will let us know. In all fairness, I actually want to catch up on the videos. I've been pretty slack in the last week. You guys stop picking on Criddle. We don't, and it's not just a Criddle thing. It's you guys don't pick on each other in here. You know what I mean? Don't pick it. Don't pick on each other in here. Don't sit in Discord and screw with each other. Don't go into Reddit and blast people. You can do it in your guild Discords. You can do it on other forums. You can do it in all. It's like. What's up, Dave? Anything interesting going on with trade skills? There's always something going on. I don't have anything major to report to you at the moment. Dave said not much. Got back from vacation recently. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Doing all right. Hanging in there. Got a lot to do. Where did you go? Where did you go on vacation? So this will wind up being a guild area. Just spoiler. Should I not spoil that? The Azores, it was amazing. That does sound amazing. I don't, how do you just take a plane? Or do you take a plane and then you got to get on a boat or a helicopter? They have a small airport there for small planes. Nice. You fly there from many major airports. There are small flights between islands, but we just stayed at the main one. Right on. Did I just see a giant glowing fighter guild sign? You might have. Yeah, alright. Smart guys. The propping's really coming along here. When in-game pipes. Oh, you know what? I keep meaning to bug Zukin to get us. So here's the reason why I haven't pushed for in-game pipes yet. Because I'm really hoping to get Briarwood in-game as a rare wood drop. And then get the ability to carve pipes. But there should be at least one store-bought pipe. How about that? We need a store-bought pipe, and then you want a pipe slot? No. Stat pipes. Don't get me in trouble with the systems, guys. I keep getting in trouble. What did you do in the Azores? Did you snorkel and stuff? That terrifies me. And somebody asked me a question that Glorganox said, hey Sean, ich schreibe das die Theorie zu testen, dass du Deutsch bevorzugen zeigst. Ich wette, dass du das am Ende lest. Ich spreche nicht einmal Deutsch. Thank you, Google Translate. Did you just hit me with a block of Google Translate German? I'm smoking a corncob pipe right now. Yeah, I don't smoke indoors. If we had our own house with like an office, legit office and stuff, I would smoke my pipes indoors. But I don't smoke indoors, so man, I wouldn't mind it though. Used to smoke a pipe, have a nice collection still. Man, it's so easy to get caught up in like wanting to purchase pipes and various tobaccos. It's such a hobby. Are you still enjoying Inquisitor after recent changes to mobs toughness and AC? That's a good question. I haven't played them since then. I need to get in and play. I'm not going to BS you. You love Cornell and Deal tobaccos. It's hard to get over here in Germany. You only get a small assortment. Dave said, I think that if you smoke, pipe is the way to go, but I'm still anti-smoking in general. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I definitely understand. Stayed on land, we saw the sights, volcanic, lake, kayaking, swimming, hiking, etc. Mainly sightseeing. It sounds like a great time, dude. We're talking about in real life though, not just in the video game. Pipe tobacco is basically just like dude potpourri, I realized the other day. I walk into my office, it smells so good. You know, you get these nice jars, label them. And all of this was triggered based on the comment about cigars. Cigars are interesting. I don't think I've really... Can I get around this? Oh, I can. Cool. I don't think I've smoked a cigar since, I don't know, forever. Smoking flavored tobacco from a hookah that's filled with vodka instead of water is the way to go? No, sir. That sounds too college aged for me. I do not partake of alcoholic beverages anymore. Ever since the alligator ate my finger, I've stopped drinking. No pinky, no drinky. Well, it's funny because there's a saying in Germany that it's Finger weg from alcohol. And so it's like finger away from alcohol. So like if you're drinking, you point your pinky out. And for me, it's my finger is gone because of the alcohol and the alligator. Night Harbor Hookah Bar. That's an interesting one. Maybe we'd put it down here. Maybe talked to about this to death, but how have LLMs changed your dev cycles on M&M? So far, they haven't. It winds up being better Google in many cases. It's something where we can look and use as like a bit of a search engine. And for those of us that aren't as technically inclined, it makes it a little bit easier to be like, hey, how would I set up this SQL like query or whatever? But it's essentially, you know, will it always stay that way? I doubt it. I think it's an inevitability in terms of like integration into engines and different tools and stuff like that. So it's in the past, things that I've starting, I don't know, a couple years ago, there were some attempts that of like, all right, if we take our Confluence and upload it into an LLM, and then does it make it easier to find stuff within our Confluence? Which then Confluence has now it's got its own like LLM, it's got its own AI integrated that keeps popping up. It's like, how do I get you to stop asking me to use you? And so it's just kind of like deactivate that shit because it's annoying. But if you upload, hey, anything in Confluence and Jira, I like Confluence. It's been great for us. Loki, our editor, has done a wonderful job of maintaining our Confluence. I can't I can't show you because I don't want to spoil things, but I'm pretty proud of what we've got in Confluence, right? Like it's great having. Oh, you like Confluence? You hate the AI bot thing? Okay, perfect. Yeah, and TechWriter is Loki. So TechWriter is our editor, and then he also writes, adds in many of the like the looks and other mud actions and stuff like that. But it's just constantly like, hey, do you want to use this? I'm like, no, I want you to stop adding another click to the thing that I'm trying to get done here. The thing that we found was even in taking our specific information, so it's a small subset of info, putting it into an LLM and then asking it questions about our lore, our info, it was already hallucinating. Right? It was just like making shit up, and it's like, all right, well, if that's the level of accuracy, which it's easier when you know the subject matter. My concern with the tools in general is it's I think tools that help us have capabilities, like if somebody's not technical and they, you know, and they provide an easier way of like doing things like SQL queries or whatever that help to automate like some data entry or whatever, that's fine. But the concern I have is, and this is just generally speaking, is the more that tools get introduced where the people don't know how to validate the output of the tool, the worse it is in general. Like, that's scary. Here's a story that may not sound true, but it is. It was like a weird thing that I learned. So one of my exes, her father had her really late in life, like when he was like 50 something, almost 60, I think. And so by the time I met him, he was like 80. and he had worked in the aerospace industry, and he was a drafter. Like, he drafted aircraft, and he had a crew of guys that he'd worked with for like 50 years or something like that. 40, 50 years. And it was the crew of these old dudes. And they would get hired onto a project, and they would design aircraft. And the thing that they wound up specializing in was drafting to validate previous designs. And so they were kind of like QA, where they would be brought in to basically redraft something in order to validate what the first draft indicated, right? So it's kind of like double checking from a second, third source. At the time, and I met him when I moved to California to work at Verint. I met him, so like 2001-ish. And they were just kind of getting to the point where, they're too old to do it. Plus, he was really sick. And in the last like 10 years, so 1990 to 2000, the crew was still being brought in up until that point to draft aircraft that were being designed in CAD or whatever was being used. They were being used to draft the aircraft by hand as a means of checking whether or not the software was missing anything. Hopefully I explained that right. Does that make sense? I found that like fascinating. But it made sense to me. A brilliant guy, man. He was somebody that was asking me questions about tech, and at the time like blogging, and had a lot of thoughts on what was going to wind up happening to the news over the years because of blogging. Like he was 80 something years old and just was already kind of ahead of the curve. Did he know where the recovered alien spacecraft are? He might have. I know he worked on some projects in LA for who was it that had a Skunk Works? Was it Lockheed that had a Skunk Works facility in LA? He worked at that one. Yeah. Super cool, man. Like, he was just super cool. Oh, Doc Roney said, I remember hearing that modern advanced aerospace engineers wouldn't even know how to make the SR-71 because the knowledge is lost, but that also seems like super stovepipe project. Yeah. Your stepdad worked with Skunkworks Lucky? Oh, that is super cool. Did that, like, how long was that there? Because that guy, like I said, he was in his early 80s in the early 2000s. I don't know much about it, and if we talked about it, I don't remember like many of the details. But he was mainly always asking me questions because I worked on software. Dave said, I'm currently rewriting the first lectures of my game programming class for the fall to try and convince students that it's still worth learning things on their own despite what they will eventually do at a job. It's hard out there. What approach are you taking with that? Is it... I mean, do you get into, do you think the students give a shit about like neuroplasticity and the way that the brain works and how you like train your brain or retain information better, like from reading books? Just reading off screens is crappy, and Kindles and stuff, right? Like, I read something somewhere at some point that was talking about the fact that because you're dealing with space in a different manner when you're pretending these tissues are a book, when you're reading through and your brain's cataloging the depth, like you're remembering kind of how deep into the book you were, and so there's like a 3D spatial thing going on that helps with the retention of the information, because you can kind of picture, was that the beginning of the book or the end of the book, in a way that doesn't seem to work as well with like PDFs. Physically writing notes seems a whole lot better for memorization as well. Yeah. Dave said, being better manually helps you use the tools. Job interview won't let you use AI. Yet, the job interview may be your use of AI soon, right? Fewer tech jobs due to LLMs means you need to know your stuff even more. Teaching them when to use the tools versus when to do something on your own. Well, that sounds awesome, man. The youth they're pretty blessed to have somebody that's a professor that's thinking about that sort of thing. We're all moving away from take-home work toward a higher weighted in class exams, which sucks, but it's necessary. That makes sense as well. Yeah, it's getting weird out there, and it's going to get weirder. I don't know. Have you guys seen any updates on what's going on with Xbox Studios? It's supposedly we're going to hear word on Friday, and that's today. Has anything been posted? The emotional anchoring that comes from feeling the book progress helps. Yeah, I think so. I mean, just smelling books is awesome. My big dream is to one day have our own place, and the office will be smelling like old books and pipe smoke. What's going on with them? Haven't heard. The rumor is, and I don't want to like fearmonger or anything like that, but it sounds like Microsoft. There were some rumors. Some executives were mentioning that they had heard, and they have a tendency to hear stuff before other folks. That's how I knew that's how we knew we were getting laid off from Sony Online after DC Universe shipped, because an executive, we knew like a couple weeks in advance. We had already packed our shit and gone to job interviews, but the day that we got laid off, we knew we were getting laid off that day because a CEO of another company tweeted prematurely, very sad to hear about the layoffs at Sony Online today. It was just like, well, we just laughed because, again, we'd already taken home most of our stuff. Sony Online was not a public company, but yeah, for other stuff, maybe that's the case. Cat. I hope they gave you some chrono to ease the separation. I had never been laid off before, so I did not realize that I was supposed to get severance. I've told this story before, so apologies if you've heard it. I didn't know that severance was really a thing. I'd worked for Sony for 11 years. Minus like a 6-month hiatus when I went to try to get another game started at a different studio, and it wasn't working, so I came back and finished DC. But I refused to sign anything. I was just like, screw you guys, I'm not signing shit. And just I was the last person to pick up their stuff that day because I had a doctor's appointment. This was before I went to rehab, and I had a doctor's appointment I had a pusher appointment, and so I was like, no, I'm going to my doctor's appointment. And it was funny because they tried to get me to cancel my doctor's appointment, and that morning And we were all like, oh, dude, we're getting the layoffs are today. That's crazy. And we're just laughing about it. And so the poor guy, he was like one of the studio higher ups, but just kind of a helper type higher up, super nice guy. But he came around and he was like, everybody needs to be here. Nobody go to lunch at noon. We have we have a announcement that's going to be made, and before people can go to lunch, we want to get with everybody and make the announcements. And we looked at it and we're like, person's name, dude. We know the layoffs are happening today. We know we're getting laid off. Like, and he's just like, it's not that. There's just going to be an announcement. The poor guy had to go around and tell everybody. And they were trying to make me, cancel my doctor's appointment because I was like, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment. I'm going to go, it's at 11 or something like that. So I'm already going to be gone. He's like, well, can you push it? Like, you really need to be here for this. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to push it. So there's some discussion back and forth. We're like, dude, we know what's going on. It doesn't matter. So anyway, I go to my doctor's appointment. When I'm done, I get into my car, I check my phone, or I get in my truck, I check my phone, and there's a text message from one of the guys that worked for me that was like, hey man, where are you? The boss's boss really needs to talk to you. Yeah, I actually said that. What are you going to do? Fire me? And because I wasn't in a good state. By the end of that project, I was jacked up on pills and like really, it was done. It was a bad time all around. And so the guy that worked for me was then called me because I sent a message back. I'm like, yeah, it's all good. And he called me and was like, hey, they really want to see you. They're still waiting. They have your stuff in the parking lot. And I was like, all right, I'll be there when I get there. And I was like, are you still there? He's like, no, we're all at the bar. They all went to, if you're in Austin, I don't know if it's still there, but everybody went to the Flying Saucer. There's like this decent sized beer bar. And so everybody just left and went to the Flying Saucer. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll swing by, grab my stuff from work, and then I'll meet you there. And, we'd been on that project for 5 years. It was a very stressful project. It was not well managed. There was a lot of yelling that happened and top down sort of threats, and just, it wasn't a good time. Right. And 3 of us had developed shingles during it. Just from the stress, there were a number of just health conditions that people had developed. A few of us had gone to psychiatrists for stress and like anxiety and wound up on benzos, which was not a good time. When you're getting benzodiazepine and you go in for shingles and they give you a bunch of Vicodin, that is definitely one way to finish out a project. I do not recommend it. And if anybody is dealing with those types of medications, I do recommend that if you've been encouraged to use them for a while, it's worth maybe getting a second or third opinion. And all I can say is never be afraid of rehab, especially if your insurance covers it, because if you go to a decent enough place, it is a good opportunity for you to kind of have a little bit of vacation from a lot of bullshit. If you're on benzos and stuff, if you're drinking a lot, you don't want to tackle that on your own. You should. This is not medical advice, but getting professional help can mean all the difference. And I'm definitely glad that I ended up in rehab after that project was over. But yeah, like a few of us got divorced afterwards, right? It was just a tough project. When you're doing when you're doing, you know, months of like 12, 18-hour days, when you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a studio, when you're working, you know, 6-7 days a week so regularly that it starts to become normal, and you start to forget that people go home and watch TV and stuff. It's not. If you're a young person and you're doing your dream job and you're having a blast, and you know, or if it's your company, if you feel that the exchange of value for your time and your life's energy is there, then all right, that makes sense. I would say it's not worth a relationship, unless the relationship's kind of shitty. Then, you know, I don't know, maybe it is. Again, this is not medical, legal, or life advice. It's just me talking about stuff on a stream, probably inappropriately. But yeah, so they were like, I get to the parking lot, and sure enough, all my stuff is on a one of those like AV kind of dollies, right? Where you can push monitors and shit around. I just loaded up, threw everything in the back of my truck that was still there. It was only like 2 little boxes, and went. They were like, "You need to sign this." I'm like, "I'm not signing shit. You guys can do stuff with yourselves." And that was that, because I was like, I'm finally not worried about being fired. Yay. Because it's stressful, man, when you've got a mortgage and you love your house, and you know, and you don't want to ruin it for the family, or you don't, you know, it's like, oh, my wife's going to be devastated if we lose this house, and it's very likely if there's limited number of jobs in your area or whatever. All of the things that I spent years like basically destroying myself worrying about. I think that was something like, I think that was maybe February or March. No, game came out in February, so that was like March, I think. Every bad thing that I had worried about happening for basically 3.5, 4 of the 5 years I was on that project, it all happened, right? It's like my relationship of 14 years fell apart. It was just done by that point. I wound up in rehab, and we got divorced. I no longer have the house. I was like, because it just didn't, you know, it was one of those things where it's like, I think you love it more than I do. And I lost that job that I'd been at for 11 years. And it was like, dude, a weight lifted. The best way to think about it is what I saw when I got to the flying saucer, which Zach said is no longer there. Yeah, it was the flying saucer in the triangle. When I got there, I forget, it was like 60, 70, maybe 100 people. And it was the first time I had seen a lot of those people like smile in years. There were people sitting there crying. And honestly, a lot of that was like relief. I'm not even making this up. People were just like, dude, I'm so glad it's done. So that's the industry. That can be the industry, right? Like people were just there. Everybody got shit-faced and started just basically, dude, I'm so over it. I'm so glad it's done. That was that. And the thing was, we were proud of the project. People were still playing DCUO, right? Like it's PS4, PS5. And yeah, and then life went on, and honestly, the relationship ending was for the better. Her life's been great, I think. My life's been great. That happens. It wasn't like black and white. It wasn't one of those things where I was like, always was worry that that'd be the, you know, that's the end of my life if these things happen. And it's not, man. Like, just the main thing, if you're, you know, in that situation, just realize that, you know, it's the beginning of something new. There may be challenges that come with that. There will be continued mistakes. That's part of life, but invariably I found it's always for the better. Yeah, Dave said relationships endings always for the better. They're not supposed to be as much work as people say. I mean, they're work, but they're not, yeah. You know, some relationships just aren't the right ones, and it's not a judgment of either individual, and it's just kind of like, know your value. Yeah. Well, value yourself. How about that one? How old was I when I started at SOE? I believe I was 25 or 26. Yeah. They've said what I mean is it's not supposed to always be a misery waiting. Yeah, if it's just always miserable, then something's got to get worked on. Something needs to change. This is not relationship advice. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be some fucking tough times out there. Trust me. Like if I'm making this sound anything less than, it was very tough, dude. It was a very hard period. And I look at that period and I'm like, whew, that was some serious bad time. But work through it. There are people. One of the things I think we also forget is just like to reach out and, you know, get help from people. Ask for help. And you know, one of the things that I learned in rehab, that maybe it sounds goofy or whatever, but one of the things that I found when I was there, and trust me, it's not like a silver bullet or whatever. I went there for pills. I didn't stop drinking until like 3 years ago. And so that was like 2011, right? So the one thing that was like the biggest, most interesting thing for me at rehab, because I was at a inpatient facility for 30 days, did not want to be there the first like few days. And then the thing that clicked for me was looking around. It was always kind of kept at 100 people. And there were people leaving and there were people coming in. And I started to notice how just like sick people would look when they came in. I was like, oh shit, you know. And I talked to people later and they're like, yeah man, you didn't you didn't look healthy, right? And I would see these people come in, and you know, some of them wound up becoming friends, and they would come in, they were just like in a rough spot, right? And you know, you had people in there for all sorts of stuff, drinking or heroin or pills or whatever, crack. And there's sort of like, you would see the life switch back on for people while they were there in the first couple weeks. And the biggest thing that clicked for me was looking around and always seeing 99 other people that were going through the same shit, and the realization of like, I'm not a special little snowflake. And like seeing just how many other people were going through it, and you talk to people, or better yet, you listen to people and get their stories, and you understand, like, you know, the more that I would listen, the more that I would understand, you know what? It's not normal. It's not necessarily happening for everybody, but it's happening to a lot of people. And it is the thing that, you know, if I can get through it, other people can get through it, and vice versa. Right. So that's what I took out of it. And, life has been a series, ongoing series of challenges and learnings from that point even, but my life has always just continued to get better and better and better. There have been, there have been other slumps, but yeah. So no, you're probably not here for this. You're here for game development, but if you're here for professional game development, this is a part of it. And for the people out there right now, the industry is rough. People out there right now, there are tens of thousands of developers that have lost their jobs in the last, well, it's been ongoing, but the last 2 to 3 years, tens of thousands. In tech, it's hundreds of thousands. And today may be a day, according to internet gossip, LinkedIn rumors, and different articles. Today may be a day that hundreds, if not thousands, because it's being stated that it's probably one of the biggest rounds of layoffs that the games industry has seen ever. Sentlytics said 14,000 layoff in the next 2 weeks. I don't know where you got the number, but that number does not like blow my mind at this point. So, yeah, and it's tech, it's games, and now that's colliding with automation and AI. And part of it is, it's not just AI. It's, no offense to anybody that's gotten in the industry in the last 10 years or whatever. The industry has expanded beyond its means, and this is just an opinion. I don't know. Right? Like, I'm just saying shit. In my opinion, the industry has grown beyond its means, like its capabilities. I've been at companies that should have been. I have seen studios where 140, 130, 120 people were doing 50 people's worth of work. And it's not their fault necessarily, right? But it's overhiring in certain areas. It's layers and layers of middle management. It's leads of directors of leads of, managers. It's the assistant manager to the regional manager or whatever, right? So there's a lot of that going on. There is just it's hard to make products that appeal to everybody. And when you're of a certain scale and you're investing tens or hundreds of millions of dollars into product development, and you've got to pay that back. So you've got to appeal as broadly as possible. Sometimes it gets hard it's very hard to have an identity there. It's hard to capture any one group if you're chasing all groups. Yeah, the era of free money has come to an end. Making shit's hard. That's been, making games has been hard forever. Most games fail. That's always been the case. Just like most restaurants fail. Just like most startups fail. So there's that as well, right? So you're already in an environment where most things are going to fail. There's a lot of money going in. That money is being thrown at, all right, so what's one way that we can potentially not fail? Throw more bodies at it, or, right? So do we reduce scope? Do we, reduce the amount of time that we are taking to develop it? Do we reduce cost, or do we increase any of those things relative to the others? Are we trying to get it out faster, and so we're throwing more people at it? what I've seen was the studios. I've been at three. I would say almost every studio I'd been at was a studio that was growing because they had an initial success, right? Like if you have a game and it does well, then odds are you want to make more games. And then that becomes very challenging. Studios' second and third games are very challenging because what often happens is you have a game that's a success. And so then we go, oh man, our game was a success. How do we, let's now replicate that because we know why the game was a success, right? Because we're really smart people because we had a successful game, obviously. And then maybe the people that worked on the successful game aren't the same ones that are working on a new one. Or we tend to bullshit ourselves about why things were successful. Or one of the things is, well, I've seen a number of places that like this story happens where it's, hey, it took us 6 years to make this game. The next game should only take us 3 because we learned all these lessons with the one that took 6. And the one that took 6, a lot of times when it's being discussed, the one that took 6 will often be somehow retconned, and it'll be, oh, remember it only took us 4.5 years to do the first one. Or it only took us 5 years, but maybe it wasn't even just 6. It was 6 plus the year of the team unofficially starting and kicking around ideas. And then, you underestimate how long it takes for a team to gel and like communicate well with each other and work well with each other. That's easily a year right there. And if you're changing the team composition a fair bit or adding a lot of people, you may just, now you kind of got to go through that year again, but go faster. And so then you take a chunk of those people and move them in with a new team. And, are you using the same technology? Oh, we got to use a newer engine, right? And are you factoring in the impact of like using new tech on the new project? So all of a sudden it's possible that a studio would look and go, well, we made the game in 5 years. It was 6, at least. And so we've made a game now, so we know how to do it. So that'll save us some time. And it's the same team working on the game. Well, but it's not the whole same team. It's certain members of that same team. And yeah, we're going to be using the new engine, but the new engine's better. It'll work better. It's faster or whatever. And there's not like is that true? Or did you actually factor in like this engine may not, for DC Universe Online, we're using Unreal 3 and we were one of the only 2 MMOs. It was like us and Huxley making an MMO with Unreal 3, and that ate up a bunch of time. But anyway, the other thing that happens is now you've got, before you probably had a runway that was limited. And so it's like, hey, we got to release, like we've got a runway. Like October for us is, the team's got finite patience and you guys have finite patience, and we're going to go live in October. And there's going to be a lot of people that'll be like, they should have taken 6 more months or 1 more year or 2 more years or whatever. And that's just the way it is, but we've got to go live. So the first game will have a runway, and then what'll wind up happening though is if the second game is just growing and growing, and it continues to grow throughout the life of if the first game continues to grow throughout the life of the second game, well then you like the team has more of an opportunity to maybe take their time, do pre-production, get the team together, work through initial team challenges and chemistry, work through the initial tech challenges, learn the engine, gut the engine, whatever. There's that opportunity there. But if the first game is already hitting sort of maturity in their cycle and starting to like flatline or go down a bit, then depending on who the owners of the company are and what their motivations are, like what their strategy is or needs, then the time pressure is on for the next game to basically catch up in the forecasts to make up for any lost revenue, right? It's there to start to offset the decline of the first project. The second game winds up typically not being as crazy as the third game. Yeah, because the number must always go up and to the right, or at least stay flat. Otherwise, if the number is going down, then you've got layoffs, right? Atomic Frog. We just started looking at spreadsheets and forecasts and projections in terms of Atomic Frog is our accountant and also answers your petitions. But we're already starting to look at that and talk about the conversations that will come. And so with decline means you've either got a buffer that's built in to manage the operating expenses and keep things stable for the team, or you've got to start reducing operating expenses, right? And so you're looking at that. So with the second game, what winds up happening is there's a degree of confidence to be able to like make a second game that is as dope as the first game. And no, I'm not talking about rehab because you made me talk numbers recently. I told you I like talking numbers. But what winds up happening is while the second game is being developed, the third game is already being developed often because we want to make sure that we're not feeling as behind as we are with the second game as we did with the third game. And the other thing that starts to happen is the realization that the second game may not be the hit that we need. Also, the studio is now much bigger, or can be bigger. And what winds up happening for some studios is the third game comes out and it just doesn't click. At which point, the second game comes out, it just doesn't click in the same way as the first game. And now you're starting to miss your forecasts. Your projections are off. But now your company's bigger than it's ever been. And you've got another one in development. And so it's like, shit, we need to get game 3 out faster. So at that point, game 1's probably already been cannibalized a fair amount. Game 2, which is struggling, it needs people to like, it needs work and it needs time. Well, it may get cannibalized as well because game 3 isn't doing what it was supposed to do. And so now that game 3 is like, shit, we need to get this out as fast as we can. And this happened when mobile was coming up. What I experienced was game 3 was in development and then it was canceled to pivot. And it's like pivot to mobile. Pivot to AI generated, I guess. Pivot to Web 3. Right? So then there's pivots that are happening because it's like, oh shit, maybe we don't have the magic formula based on our previous experience. So where is the industry going? Right? And so it's like, now let's pivot and see if we can make up for it. Game 3 gets rebooted 2 times. That can happen. Yeah. And at that stage, you're kind of like, pivot to mobile literally killed the last studio I worked at. We weren't equipped for it. I've watched it kill, not even necessarily kill. I watched it basically strip mine several studios, not just ones I was at. So if anybody's like going through my CV or worked at those studios, I'm not referring to them necessarily. Yeah. So that's something that happens in the industry. Now that we're in an interesting period because let's say AI is real. If AI is going to do all the stuff that people are, the executives that are pushing AI and tracking how much each person uses AI and doing weekly PowerPoints on AI utilization and adoption and all of that stuff. So let's assume that AI can make it so that it is much easier to develop games. There's an interesting thing that's going on. I don't know, and I could be full of shit. Like I'm not, you know, I'm just a trained monkey, to be honest, for the most part, and kind of just the front man. If AI or if new tools, let's make it less, I guess, less controversial. If the new tools are going to make it easier for small teams to develop content, experiences, games that are competitive with other teams, right? Because that's the goal, right? These bigger companies, they're investing in tools that can make a smaller burn rate, like a smaller, cost in theory. I'm watching what I'm saying here because the tools now are coming with a greater cost. But if we can have reduce our expenses development expenses with regards to the human aspect of it, and tools are carrying more of the weight, and those are the ability, like those give us the ability to compete with each other in like a AAA sense, then the theory is that much smaller teams will be able to compete somewhere in there. And so in theory, again, depending on the tools, depending on their costs, we should be able to see the emergence of indie and AA that is even more competitive as well. And on top of that, the industry is dumping tens and tens of thousands of people out into the streets. And so then the question is, how long until you see more of those devs get together and do like what we've been doing, which is, hey, we don't have cash. We cover the expenses that we have to cover. The team's not paid. We're volunteers. And there's a lot of experience and a lot of talent out there. So the question I have is, assuming they're not moving on to other industries, which has always been the case, I think as far back as early 2000s, IGDA's annual surveys of developers found that the average tenure was like 4.5 years. Most people leave the industry for something less volatile, less brutal, pays better, and that was typically just tech. But one of the designers that was on the EQ team with us, she's a librarian. One of the designers that was on DCUO with me, he became a chef. Right? Like, people get out of the industry. But I've been very curious to see how many people get together and start working on projects on their own. And now we're seeing that with different studios, where, entire studios have been let go and then a smaller studio reforms out of it, or just kind of continue or whatever. So, yeah. And so examples like Megabonk, what's the Chameleon game right now that's blown up? Was that one person? Zach said Neon Giant, the studio, is a good example of making the Ascent and now No Law with 4 artists. It's sort of insane. Don't know if they're contracting anything, but those games are so dense, it's impressive. Yeah. Schedule 1 was one guy, Mecha Chameleon, that's it. 2 people, 2 weeks. And we've seen small teams in the past. And the thing is, like, people point to like a Fall Guys, like in 1 year, wasn't it? 1 year was like Fall Guys, Among Us, Valheim all popped off in 1 year. Stardew Valley is one guy. He's done great. He's a very interesting guy. Hey, what's up, Robert? Hope you're safe and enjoying the trip. So, I don't know, man. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the people that are affected by the layoffs and stuff. I'm hoping that the people that really are passionate and it wasn't just a job, you know, I'm hoping those folks get together and start making stuff, or you know. Bit of survivorship bias there. Hard to say the industry's on the way up just because a few indie success. Oh, I didn't say it was on the way up by any means. I've been saying for the last like 30 or 40 minutes that the industry is in a pretty shit state. Now, there's still money being spent out there, and I think there's still a lot of potential, and I think the industry's in a shit state because the industry got itself into a shitty state. But what I'm saying is we have seen examples of successes in the past. There always have been, I guess, right? And so what I'm curious about is whether or not these tools, if they're so good that entire companies are now restructuring themselves around the tools, I'm curious to see if that makes it more or less likely that we see some of these like indie successes. And, you know, why aren't more of these talented folks getting together? It's why can you sit in a zone in like you could sit in shaded dunes and probably see 12 people say that they're LFG. Right? Of the same level range. And it's always been the case. Like you could sit in a zone in EQ and be like, I mean, when people talk about, you know, forming groups, oh, it's so hard to find a group. I assemble groups regularly. And maybe it's just a duo at first, and then all of a sudden we're a trio. That's how I always get started if I'm looking for groups in game, because I'm anonymous, right? And so there are leaders and there are followers, and that's just a reality of it. And you know, lack of funding and risk from investors. I think in this example, and it's not to say everybody can do this, but nobody should be on the NWC M&M team if it is required that we are guaranteed success in October for their lives to be okay. That's something that over the next couple of months I'll continue to reiterate to the team. It's like, dude, there is zero guarantee of success. And by success, I mean money coming in at all for more than a couple months. That's just, we can't ethically, we have never promised our people like, hey, stick around and we guarantee there's going to be a success there. And I hope that's clicked. Our team should only be as big as people are interested in participating and can afford to, in some manner or another, spend their time working on the game. And so if you look at, and I say that because we've spent like 160,000 so far, and that came out of, Ali and I have paid that. And other teams out there, I see people on LinkedIn, and if you're one of them, I'm not shit talking to you guys. Like, I wish you the best. But I see people, like, anytime I got to go to LinkedIn to, like, answer a message or look for somebody or post one of our updates or whatever, I'll see, like, people just doing the LinkedIn game where it's like, if I pontificate enough on LinkedIn, then maybe somebody will spot me and fall in love or whatever it is, or I can point back to all my writing on LinkedIn to impress my future employer. Like, don't waste your time on that shit. Find some people. Just needs, duo or trio. Find a couple other people that you know a little bit, that you like, that you click with. Starting, I think this is, if it's not mentioned in a recent interview, I did an interview with Slayheim that will go up at some point this month, I think. you know, the reality was the idea of like maybe doing a thing that became Eminem, that started even before I met Nick and Ollie. I asked a handful of different people with industry experience, several of them, hey, maybe I was thinking about doing something on stream and maybe kind of like doing a thing. And there's like, have you been checking out the emulator scene? And there's what can we do? Talked to a few people and it just didn't click. It didn't work. It's like they not interested, or maybe, but we need to find funding, or right. And then I was blessed enough to run into Ollie, run into Nick, run into Bunny. We started working. Then we're streaming, which gives us some visibility, which then all of a sudden we post a job posting for an artist, and we post a job posting for a tech guy, and we got a bunch of like applications, and we were kind of blown away by it. So we picked 2 of each, and that's how we wound up picking up Zukin and Pattis, and then Goblin wasn't far behind or right around there, and that's how we got Jim Fog, and that's how we got Pilgrim. And then next thing you know, this crazy Swede who makes music apparently reached out to us, and we're like, oh shit, this stuff's pretty cool. Then all of a sudden we got a Robert, right? And we just keep talking to people and rambling like I am now. And the thing is, it's like we're not trying to trick you in any way, right? Like we're just going, this is us. Maybe you like us, maybe you don't like us. And for the first year or 2, you're like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, and it's complete vaporware, and you guys are never going to make a game. Right? Now we've graduated to, you've made a game, but here's everything that's wrong with it and why it won't last more than 4 months after launch. And that's a good place to be, I guess, right? Like, that's fine. Because like I said earlier, if the worst thing that happens is that we make a game that the team enjoys playing and we're the only ones on the server, then I guess, all right. But you guys got to realize, like, the game, we've never been counting on the game being like gangbusters from day one. We know that we have a lot of work to do once we're in early access. Like, that's the point of early access. Our early access, we're not trying to bullshit and be like, oh, we need to polish a few knobs and sorry, pause. We need to twiddle some knobs and polish the decks and all of this stuff. We have a lot of actual work to do. So these are on purpose. I did not know what I was saying. I never know what I'm saying. That's why the team has forced me to stream less. That may not be true. Yeah, so anyway, don't blame us. Guys, I've been slacking on streaming. I apologize. Last week it was really hot. I keep thinking that I keep thinking that I'm going to stream on like Monday, and then something will pop up, and then somebody will be available for a call, and I wind up doing that instead in the evening. And then Wednesday I'll roll around and I'm like, all right, I'm definitely streaming today, and then somebody will be available for a call, or we'll be working on something. Because the time offset for me being in Germany, a lot of the team is more available in the evenings, and is like, man, okay, so would I rather, and is it better for me to stream right now or to hop on a call? And so even this stream, I was like, man, I need to hop in and stream and just like have a little proof of life. But this time could have definitely been spent hopping on a call with some of our guys, especially our West Coast guys. And those guys are getting a ton done, so it's like, oh, I want to be able to check in and see what they're doing. Right, so that's kind of what's been going on there. And just stream the call. I would love to do more of that, to be honest. It really comes down to people's level of comfort. Oh, that's cool. And the topic. Hey, Chess Solo, what's going on? All right, so. But yeah, a lot of the discussions that we have, especially right now, are they're really cool discussions. They're a lot of fun, but there's a lot of stuff that's not necessarily for public consumption. Do these miners and laborers get tomorrow off for 4th of July? We do not celebrate in real world holidays. We just make some obviously holiday adjacent in-game holidays. Torvius is Dwarven Freedom Day. But yeah, anyway. There definitely will be M&M holidays. Listen, we've gone through the process of naming the days of the week. We'll get some holidays in. Is there a Winterfest in our future? There are bound to be seasonal holidays. They're fun, right? Like, I get that some people, it's like, oh, we definitely want to have our takes. I mean, winter is such a interesting one, right? Is it festive or is it kind of scary? And is it dependent on the culture? Are different cultures having different holidays at different times? That's the kind of stuff where if we have the ability, you know, for us, anytime we're daydreaming about having additional capacity, then we want to spend that on getting cool stuff like that, right? The idea of making it to 1.0 and beyond is the hope that there's just a really, really deep world here that you enjoy coming back to. Even if you take a few months away from it or whatever, don't cancel your subscription. Be sure to keep paying us. Or, you know, or pause your subscription. It's fine. A few months away, who would do that? Well, some people, and it's okay. Yeah. So speaking of streaming, is anybody from the team streaming? Will you be able to do a 6-month subscription right away? No. No multi-month subscriptions until... I wonder if we can set it to... You can only do a multi-month subscription after you've done at least a 1-month subscription. We basically, we don't want anybody to give us multiple months worth of subscription money before they've had a chance to play. Because if you don't like it, we don't want you to feel like we snagged your 3 months or your 6 months or whatever and like rug pulled you or some shit. But you've played for hundreds of hours already? No, I get it. And you know what? Bless you guys. We appreciate it. If you played for hundreds of hours and you're still excited about going into early access and playing for months, then that's a massive compliment, and that is nice to hear on a Friday. I can tell you don't have VC because you don't want multi-month subs. Yeah. Merch when we go live. We'll be working on the merch store, though. We may give like a preview of the store that you can't purchase from yet. We may do that. Yeah, ZBrush, let me know when you're up and we'll raid you. Oh, speaking of name reservations, stuff like that, have you updated your selection on the new server poll? Please do that. It's a big help for us. It is a big help to hit the server interest poll. Ignore my link because it has a 2 in it. You can always use here. I'll even edit it for you. Be sure to do that. Please do that. Tell your friends to do it. Get your guilds to do it. It's it is actually a help for us to see, even if they don't hit like 3,000 or 4,000 or 8,000 or whatever. That's fine. Like it is helpful, and we'll keep reminding you guys to do that. Criddle, you're not a millionaire content creator? Then why do I keep referencing you? I thought I was buttering you up for millions. Hopefully Penny's a millionaire then. ETA on the deep, Zeldar asked. We're really focused this month on it. Thanks, Rehawk. Starting up now? Does that mean you're rateable? I think the poll would be more meaningful if you explain one sec on the poll what the server options mean. Some are not so clear. I'll look and see if we can get more info posted on there. That's a fair point, XO. Sariad, we're still hoping to get all 18 classes out by when EA rolls around. If we don't make that 100%, then it happens. We'll continue. Well, it's not like we're gonna stop. We'll continue just working on it. So, all right. I think Zach's ready. Let's get this raid going. All right, guys. We're going to raid Zach. Stick around. Get to see. It looks like he's working on some ogre facial hair right now. You get to see some sexy ogre action. He'll be working on ogre art. That's super cool. Raid him and give him some love, some support. Every little bit helps. And you guys have a wonderful 4th of July weekend if you're in the US. Be safe. Want to see you next week with all your fingers. Don't be like me. That's what happens if you mess around on the 4th. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Get some outdoor time if the weather's nice. Count yourselves fortunate. 4th of July is awesome. It's a great country. I'm looking forward to getting back. And yeah, so we're going to raid now. Take care. Be careful. I'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. All right. See you guys.